This herd started down in the Buckman neighborhood in late 2012, and over the course of 2013, that sort of spring and summer, a lot of us who lived or worked in the neighborhood sort of got involved with the herd under its original owner. And then as we got closer to the point where a decision had to be made about the herd because development was coming to that lot, like half a dozen of us who were helping out taking care of the herd got together and asked if we could just buy the herd as a herd to keep it together. So over the course of about an 8-month period in 2013, we went from neighbors to sort of volunteers to suddenly realizing, oh, it looks like we're going to buy a herd of goats. None of us started that year, obviously, thinking by the end of the year I'm going to own a herd of goats. It just kind of happened that way. And then the organization to sort of run it started over the course of 2014.
The goats are awesome. They were a novelty in Belmont, and there was a community that was really attached to them and loved them, and there was a desire to have these rural animals in an urban setting. Yeah, there was a community that was brought together because of these guys, and it was really important to continue that in any way possible, and so that's how I got involved. I think it's important to know knowledge about the animals, know how to care for them, know about their personality to best serve them, and that way they can best serve the community. And
it's really easy for people to be kind of amazed by these animals because they're an animal that you just sort of, until you meet one, you just sort of have this vague notion of livestock in the back of your head. Like the first time I met a goat, I was amazed by their character and how inquisitive they were and how curious they were, and how they all really do have their own personalities, and they show them very boldly. They're not shy, and you can't shame a goat. They're not, so they're very different from the animals that you're used to, like a dog or a cat.
I find that a lot of people come for the reasons that I do, just to kind of mellow out and relax. They're like unofficial therapy animals, I just feel like I personally have gotten a lot more confident just since I've been hanging out with them, just dealing with livestock, just kind of, when you're here alone and you're feeding a herd of 14 goats and they're all crazy and you're like, I got this, no problem, and some days it gives me a purpose. Like I've been unemployed and it just gives me a purpose to come and feed them or, pet them, take care of them. And it's helped me out a lot.
Between the 3 herd owners and the 6 main volunteers, many chores must be done to keep the herd in check. These include feeding them hay, supplying them with powdered nutrients, giving them shots, cleaning out the barns, and maintaining their hooves. So, where are the best places for these goats to live and flourish in Portland?
Lots that at some point will get developed are exactly the sorts of lots that can afford to invite us to come stay for a couple of years. So on the one hand, we will probably always get pushed out, as it were. On the other hand, those are the neighborhoods and the sites that will be able to invite us to come in.
We have been really fortunate to have a relationship with PDC, the Portland Developers Commission, wherein we've been able to use land that's slated for development, and we sign a use agreement, which is an annual agreement, and then we just pay for insurance on the land, and then we have rights to it for the year.
Allison Wicks, a project coordinator for PDC, said that complaints about vacant property in Lentz sparked PDC to put out a request for interest, an open call to creative community projects that would temporarily bring activity to the neighborhoods. The goats were selected to fulfill the 2 objectives: to create a unique amenity for the neighborhood and to bring positive attention to the district. But the herd itself has needs as well. According to the RSPCA, one fully grown goat should have around 1/4 of an acre for grazing, or 10,890 square feet. With those calculations, the 14 goats in the Belmont herd would roughly need 152,460 square feet. That amount of land would be a giant upgrade from what they have now, which is only around 23,000 square feet. However, with the price of land in Portland increasing, the places that the goats could potentially live are more likely to turn into apartment buildings or shopping centers. But in addition to land, housing the herd requires access to clean water, it can't cost too much for the organization to maintain, and it needs to be available for at least 1 to 2 calendar years. Urban Studies professor Dr. Nathan McClintock offered insight on the new relationship between this type of urban agriculture and modern development.
It's a much sort of cozier relationship, and one journalist mentioned it, called it an unexpected romance between urban agriculture and developers right now, where some groups like the goats, willingly know that, hey, this is going to be a temporary measure, no problem, but then the developer in turn uses the imagery, the legacy of that urban agriculture, of those goats, to then promote the development itself. In so doing, urban agriculturalists in some way are supporting the development that ultimately pushes them out of the way.
So where will the goats go next?
We really are trying to gear it towards, don't give us a list of stuff to go look at. We want neighbors to sort of make us a pitch. And we have gotten a couple, none of which necessarily work out of the box. We'd have to work out issues if we wanted to pursue them.
It's hard because we want to keep them in the city. So we get lots of people saying, oh, they can come, I have 160 acres out in Damascus, they can come live with us. And while the goats would probably love that, I think they would also miss that kind of urban attention they get here from all the people, because they really have become accustomed to being around people and having people come visit them.
The goats don't mind the people at all, but the people sure do love the goats.
They are kind of just magical creatures. They have a presence about them. They have a lot of hormones that you can sense, and they have a lot of interaction and personality. So yeah, they're friends, my kids.